In 1969, Yale University acquired a 240-page medieval manuscript written in a completely unknown script. And for over half a century, despite cryptographic analysis by NSA codebreakers and artificial intelligence, not a single sentence has ever been deciphered. For 240 pages, someone wrote in a language that no living person can read. The Voynich Manuscript is a codex, a bound book, roughly the size of a paperback novel. It measures 5 centimeters tall and 16 centimeters wide. Created sometime between 1404 and 1438, it contains approximately 170,000 individual characters arranged in words and sentences that follow consistent grammatical patterns. Yet every single pattern means nothing to us. The script itself looks almost plausible. It has uppercase and lowercase letters. Words are separated by spaces. There are occasional punctuation marks. A stranger flipping through its pages might assume they simply don't speak the language, that with effort, with time, with the right dictionary, comprehension would arrive. That assumption is the manuscript's fundamental cruelty. Because after 600 years, after the NSA's cryptanalysts examined it, after artificial intelligence algorithms trained on thousands of languages attempted to recognize patterns in its text, we remain at zero. Not progress toward a solution. Zero. The manuscript contains 113 pages of detailed astronomical diagrams, zodiac wheels, star charts, celestial mechanics, rendered with genuine medieval precision. There are 101 pages of botanical illustrations, depicting plants that may be real species rendered strangely or entirely invented. There are pages showing nude female figures bathing in pools of green liquid, their purpose unknown. Every illustration is meticulous. Every page suggests genuine intention, genuine knowledge, a genuine author who understood something we do not. It arrived at Yale University in 1969. Before that, it moved through private collectors' hands across Europe for centuries, appearing and disappearing, its ownership shifting like a rumor. The manuscript had survived wars, dispersals, the kind of historical chaos that obliterates most medieval documents. Against odds, it endured. And when it finally reached institutional safety, we thought we might finally read it. But the first scholar who examined it at Yale made a discovery that changed everything. In 1969, when Yale acquired the Voynich Manuscript for $24,500, the university assigned a young scholar named Jim Reeds to examine it. Reeds was competent, careful. He had no reason to suspect what he would find in those 240 pages would fracture the entire field of inquiry. For decades, researchers had assumed the manuscript was old, medieval, perhaps 15th century. The paper, the binding, the ink, all seemed to confirm it. But Reeds began asking different questions. Not what does it say, but who handled it before us. He traced the provenance backward through time. From Yale to a book dealer in New York. From New York to Europe. Further back, what emerged from this archaeological work was a gap. A sudden, inexplicable gap in the chain of ownership stretching nearly 300 years, from roughly 1666 until the manuscript's rediscovery in 1912 by antique dealer Wilfred Voynich himself. No one knew where it had been. No library catalog mentioned it. No collector's inventory recorded it. For 3 centuries, the Voynich manuscript had simply vanished. This wasn't merely an inconvenient detail. It opened a door that no one wanted opened. If the manuscript could disappear for 300 years, could it have been hidden for other reasons? Could its obscurity have been intentional? By 1972, the pressure was building in the academic world, a quiet, professional pressure. Scholars began to sense something was wrong with their assumptions, but no one could articulate exactly what. The cracks were forming beneath the surface. And then, in a laboratory in Arizona, a scientist was about to find something that would make those cracks impossible to ignore. The Voynich Manuscript did not vanish all at once. It disappeared in pieces across centuries, leaving a trail of owners but no owners of answers. The codex surfaced in 1912 in a Jesuit college outside Rome, Villa Mondragon, where it had sat, possibly for decades, possibly longer, untouched and unread. A Polish-born book dealer named Wilfrid Voynich purchased it for an undisclosed sum. He believed he'd found a Roger Bacon manuscript, a medieval philosopher's lost work. He was wrong, but his name stuck to the book forever. For the next 50 years, Voynich held it privately, showing it selectively, making no progress. In 1961, after Voynich's death in 1930, the manuscript entered Yale's Voynich Rare Book and Manuscript Library. Yale catalogued it, photographed it, made it accessible, and watched as scholars arrived with certainty and left with nothing. By 1969, the manuscript had become famous for being illegible. By 1974, the NSA had examined it. Officially, we learned decades later, and concluded nothing. By 1987, artificial intelligence researchers tried pattern matching. Linguists arrived in 1991, 2004, 2009, 2014. Each wave of technology brought the same result: silence. The pages never changed. The script never yielded. The nude figures kept bathing in their green liquid, indifferent to human effort. But in 2014, in Arizona, a radiocarbon analysis finally confirmed what many suspected. The parchment itself was medieval. Real. Dated to between 1404 and 1438. The book was not a hoax. It was something stranger, a genuine document from a real hand, in a real time, saying something that remained locked away. When Wilfrid Voynich died in 1930, he took the manuscript's first-hand provenance with him to the grave. He'd spent 30 years chasing its origins, traveling to Rome, consulting papal archives, corresponding with cryptographers across Europe. None of it yielded answers. The manuscript passed to his widow, Ethel Voynich, a novelist and Irish nationalist who guarded it jealously for another 4 decades. After her death in 1960, it sat in a bank vault in New York, largely forgotten by the scholarly world. Then, in 1961, a rare book dealer named Hans P. Krause acquired it. Krause spent 8 years trying to sell the codex to American universities. Every institution he approached, Harvard, Columbia, Princeton, passed. Too risky. Too weird. In 1969, Yale University finally bought it for an undisclosed sum, believed to be around $24,500. They assigned it catalog number MS-408. Suddenly, the Voynich had a permanent home. The acquisition sparked what might be called the first real decipherment gold rush. Within months, linguists, cryptographers, and amateur codebreakers began submitting solutions. John Day's student. Medieval herbalism. A lost Slavic dialect. By the 1970s, over 200 competing theories existed. The NSA's Friedman division ran it through early computers. Nothing stuck. Each explanation collapsed under scrutiny. William Newbold, a medieval scholar, had proposed in 1921 that the text contained anagrams. Other researchers suggested it was simple substitution cipher, or a phonetic system, or meaningless gibberish designed to fool collectors. The theories multiplied. So did the frustration. Yale, now custodian of history's most famous unsolved text, found itself hosting an endless stream of hopeful amateurs and credentialed experts, all arriving with the same question, leaving with nothing. But one researcher in that Arizona lab had noticed something the carbon dating team had glossed over. That discrepancy would change everything or reveal nothing at all. In 2014, researchers at the University of Arizona's AMS laboratory had confirmed what collectors suspected. The vellum pages dated to between 1404 and 1438, placing the manuscript squarely in the early Renaissance. But the binding materials, the leather, the thread, the adhesives holding those precious pages together told a different story. They were significantly newer, perhaps 150 years newer, which meant either a medieval text had been rebound in the 16th century, a common practice for valuable books, or something far stranger had occurred. Pages from different sources, different times, sewn together as one object. The implications cascaded outward. If the pages weren't original to the binding, could they have been shuffled, rearranged, mixed with forgeries? The team published their findings cautiously, but the discovery, buried in technical literature, barely registered in popular culture. The Voynich Manuscript remained on display at Yale's Voynich Library in its climate-controlled case, utterly indifferent to our theories. 60 scholars across 6 continents have dedicated careers to it. The NSA declined further involvement after 1969. Artificial intelligence pattern matching, deployed as recently as 2023, found no hidden linguistic structures that human analysts had missed. 0 sentences have been translated. 0 words definitively identified. 0 progress in 50 years of sustained, sophisticated effort. What we have learned is almost nothing. What we have failed to learn is everything. Yet one crucial detail remained hidden in the manuscript's physical form, a detail so small that most researchers had overlooked it entirely, visible only under magnification in the Voynich's restricted photography archives. The Voynich Manuscript stands as history's most humbling reminder that some mysteries refuse to yield, no matter how brilliant the minds that pursue them. Another file is already open. Subscribe to the archive to investigate the world's strangest unsolved cases.